Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon,
And I'm Aiara.
and welcome to the Mustardcast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see your channel grow, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. As usual, free Palestine. Make sure we say that at the beginning of every episode. Um, but moving on to what media you can consume. You can start.
So in getting settled a little in the new place, I started and caught up to Dungeon Meshi completely. I'm really enjoying it. It's really, really nice. I started reading the manga, and I'm really liking the manga a lot too. I watched an episode of Black Mirror, my first episode of Black Mirror. I might watch more. I don't know. Unsure at the moment. And that's about it. Been mostly all done Meshi all the time.
Yeah, I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but we're going to talk about that at the very end of the podcast. Got the last few games that I ordered off Amazon. Well, actually, one game and a case. I have Virtual Fighter 5, which is very obscure fighting game series on PS3. But a dog I used to have chewed up the case, but luckily not the disc. So because it's so obscure, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to find a replacement case, but I did. So I got a case for that game finally. And I got the Splinter Cell the first three games, the HD collection for PS3. I'm really excited to play those. I love me some stealth action games. And I did get another one. I got Godfather 2, the video game. And
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it was a fun game back when I played it. I'm playing it now and I'm like, man, this game's old, but I had a good time playing a little bit if I did to make sure that it works all right. But it still comes with a demo for Dead Space, which was the first and only time I had played Dead Space back then. This was a year after Dead Space had originally came out, and since then I've played the remake twice. So yeah, I love Dead Space. This is where my love of Dead Space began. So when I saw the demo was there, I was like, oh my god, yes. And then I played and realized, oh wow, I recognize this segment. I know what part of the game this is from. Yeah, it was real fun. I've also just been playing God of War, the first one, making some progress on that. The game's fun. Still playing Persona 3 Reload, of course.
Right.
I stopped
in the background
just before was it the summer vacation? So
vacation, yeah.
Taking a break, focusing on Final Fantasy VII, and then later this month, I just realized that Rise of the Ronin comes out. So it's gonna be a while before I play Persona 3 again.
Yeah.
There's this show that unfortunately isn't being advertised enough by Disney called Shogun, which is based off of a novel from decades past. It came out like the mid, as weird as it is to say, 20th century, last century, before the year 2000.
Right.
And it's stars Hiroyuki Sanada, who is a very famous Japanese actor who's in a lot of American films as well. He played, most recently, I've seen him in John Wick, but also he played Scorpion in the last Mortal Kombat movie. And yeah, he tends to get typecast in these samurai films.
Right.
But hopefully he enjoys it and isn't upset that he's always being cast as a noble samurai. That's like his typecast.
Right.
He's the noble swordsman. He played the exact same type of character in John Wick as well. It's real good so far. There are 2 episodes released on I think the first day it came out, and I need to finish up the second episode before the next episode comes out, because like I said before, I'm trying not to fall behind on shows, because when that happens, I just stop watching completely, and then I end up being like a full season behind, and I don't want to do that. So tonight I'm gonna make sure I watch that. I was gonna try and watch Dune last night, but I was just playing too much Final Fantasy. I couldn't tear myself away from the game, and Dune is a really long movie, and by the time I decided I wanted to watch it, it was too late in the night, and I was for sure going to fall asleep on it. So I was like, I'm just going to watch it either tonight, but most likely tomorrow night, because on Tuesday I'm going to go see Dune Part 2.
Ooh.
I'll talk about the first movie again and the second movie next podcast.
I'll try and finish the first book by next podcast because I've been slowly chewing my way through it, so we can talk about it at large.
Yeah, I was gonna say because it's 2 weeks from now, so if you could try to watch that first movie. It's
that
on
also.
it's on HBO. I mean, not
Oh,
HBO.
nice.
Well, it's not called HBO anymore. I keep forgetting that, but Max.
Max.
Ninja movie. I was afraid I was 2 episodes behind, but I guess I just didn't realize what day the episodes came out. I'm only an episode. Well, I was only an episode behind, but I watched it last night. Ninja movie is so fun. It's just such a fun show. It's so up my alley. Like I said, it reminds me of Ninja Assassin, which is a very obscure, like not super well known movie from like 2010 or something like that. I love it. It reminds me of Ninja Gaiden, and the action of the show, the fight scenes are so good. Whoever this animation studio is, they're doing a great job. I'll find out what studio it is and mention them next week when I talk about it. But it's so good. I would love to see this team make a Ninja Gaiden animated series because
that would be fun.
They'll keep the style of story that this show has would suit Ninja Gaiden. Like it just feels like Ninja Gaiden, and that's why I like it so much. There was a Ninja Gaiden animated movie a while back. I think it might have been for like the 90s or early 2000s, and I watched it a couple times, and I kind of want to watch it again after watching this show. What else have we got? Tron Uprising. I finally finished it, and it's always sad when you finish a really good show that was canceled, and there isn't a second season, but clearly there was supposed to be a second season. So Tron Uprising is canon to the movies. The movie from the 80s and the one that came out like 2010, 11 or something like that. And speaking of which, actually, I wasn't even going to talk about this, but then, now I'm talking about Tron. The Tron movie, Tron Ares, the third movie, is coming out next year, and they showed a little teaser image. It was just a person in the red Tron suit.
Right.
I'm excited. I like Tron a lot. Sad that Daft Punk won't be back to do the music because they retired.
Yeah.
But one of them, I forget. It's hard to pronounce his last name because I think it's French or something. But
yep, they're French.
Thomas, the one with the pretty much the taller one. The one with the visor on his mask. He still makes music, so if he could get involved with it, that would be great in terms of
that would be fun.
Score. If at least one of them could work on it. He is making more kind of like orchestral music now too, so maybe he wants to work on a movie score again. Yeah, Tron Uprising was really, really, really good. It's crazy how good that show is, and honestly, that show came out, because of the movie. It came out around the same time as the movie. It was meant to be, some cross promotion. Like a similar thing was done with Green Lantern anime series that was really good, but also got canceled because the movie was bad. But yeah, hopefully maybe this next movie could revive Tron Uprising.
That would be nice.
Because the reality is the reason Tron Uprising didn't do so well is because it wasn't being sold to the right audience. It was on Disney XD, which Disney XD was mostly full of like live action like sitcoms. And that was not a good place for this animated show. It just wasn't. This show should have been either on regular Disney, which also wouldn't have worked. I don't know, man.
It could have been on Jetix.
It didn't find its audience. But
yeah.
It could do so much better on streaming, 100%. If they, like, Tron Ares comes out, people watch, people like it, and they say they're bringing back Tron Uprising, and people who like that go watch the first season and then watch the second season, it could do really well. So, that's my hope. I hope that happens because they had a lot of interesting ideas. And last but not least, X-Men the Animated Series. Started watching it. Still watching it. It's real good. 480p, image quality aside. It's amazing. I'm mad it took me this long to watch it. Because it's only really good. But why in the second episode did a sentinel hide behind a building and it actually worked? And it still somehow managed to sneak up on Jubilee. I'm just sitting there like she's walking down the street and then it pans up to a sentinel just standing in the alleyway. I'm like, how did she not see that? What's happening? It's a giant.
It's a product
robot.
of the times, and then also they like the thing is with X-Men the Animated Series, they wanted Jubilee to be a damsel in distress, but also the main character at the same time, and it really didn't work.
She's the audience surrogate character sure.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
also, the moment where Xavier makes Magneto relive the Holocaust is in episode 4. It
Oh,
is
I
insane.
forgot.
It happened immediately. I was like, oh my God, I didn't expect this to happen so soon. It was crazy. And he was like, how dare you? And then I saw this person, I have to find a video. Somebody sent it to me, or it might have just popped up across my timeline where someone like did a voiceover where um, where Magneto was like, how dare you use these memories against me? And Xavier's like, oh, those are your memories? I just one day, I was just scanning random brain waves, and then I found that memory. I put it in my back pocket to use it on my enemies. And he was like, Magneto was like, wait a minute, you telling me you just been using my trauma to knock people out for years?
God, hell.
And
It's funny because that sounds like a very Xavier thing to do. Like
it really does.
Ooh. But what a man.
Moving on to animation. There was a Batman Beyond movie in the works that was, well, it wasn't in the works. It was pitched, but it wasn't accepted. So there's some concept art out there I have to send to you. But it was by Patrick Harpin and Yuki Demers, people who worked on Across the Spider-Verse. They said before we pitched, they warned us there was absolutely no way we can do a Beyond movie, but they loved our enthusiasm. We pitched the outline for the entire film, and what started as a never turned into a maybe. But I'm so confused because I've talked about before, DC does animation better than Marvel by like a mile.
Absolutely.
In terms of cartoons, shows, as well as movies. But most of their movies are direct to DVD. If they start down the path of making movies that go like theatrical animated movies, oh my God. They'd
make so much money.
They'd be doing so well because they are so good at when it comes to animation. And Batman Beyond is perfect for an animated movie. If they want their Spider-Verse, they got it. Batman Beyond could be that. It would be amazing. I love Batman Beyond so much. Still in the middle of watching the show. It's real good.
It is really good.
I really want a Batman Beyond game as well. But Donald Glover,
that would be fun.
He also tried to make a Deadpool animated show, and there was even a teaser made and some test footage, and it looks really good. But it never got off the ground either. Like these characters thrive in animation above all else, outside of the comics, and I need the powers that be to see that. I need animation to get some respect. But the Bad Batch final season. This season is hitting much harder than the last 2 seasons for me. I enjoyed the last 2 seasons, but similar to like the latter seasons of the Clone Wars, there's a lot less filler, and they're focused on more intense storylines, which I feel like makes it more enjoyable. And there are a lot of implications that this final season will tie directly into certain aspects of the sequel trilogy that involves cloning, because the Bad Batch is focusing on a batch of defective clones.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes.
That is exciting.
Last for me in animation, I saw Final Fantasy Advent Children in theaters.
What'd you think?
A couple weeks ago, and it was good. I loved it. It was great. Advent Children takes place 2 years after the events of the original game, and follows Cloud as he searches for a cure to a deadly plague that's begun to spread called geostigma. And he's also attempting to stop a trio of mysterious figures from reviving Sephiroth. And there's this character, this little boy who has geostigma, named Denzel, but I just call him Denzel because it's spelled like that.
Right.
And who the hell names a child Denzel? That boy's name is Denzel. I guarantee you it's probably a translation error where like the Japanese person who made the game, or it was probably Nova who wrote it. Probably was like, his name is Denzel, but probably just pronounced it wrong because it's not a Japanese name and it's stuck.
Right.
Like how in it's funny because I just sent you a JoJo gift, but in JoJo you have Overdole, who is only called Overdole because both in the dub and sub, because it's a pronunciation of his name is, they call him his name is Overdole Muhammad, but it's actually supposed to be Abdul Muhammad, which makes so much sense
much more sense.
Because that man is bliggity black. His name is Abdul Muhammad.
No, for real.
Gave him the blackest name possible. Hilarious.
And then also like with Dragon Ball, and Dragon Ball Z by extension. There's so many like mispronounced names in there.
Oh yeah, like well, I guess that's not one because you got a Krillin, which in the it's weird because I'm not sure because in the manga it's Kuririn, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
if that's,
Krillin.
if
no,
it's
that's
supposed to
not
be Krillin, and that's just the Japanese people have a hard time pronouncing L's type situation. Because for some reason in the manga they spell it that way, and I'm like, what is happening?
Right. Bulma is a better example because her name's a pun, like bloomers, trunks, etc., etc. I don't know what happened there, but it's very tragic that the pun was lost in English because I think it's really fun.
Well, the pun's not really lost because every other character, her daughter is still named Bra, her son is still named Trunks, and then you have all of the Saiyans named after vegetables, and the Namekians are named after instruments.
I didn't know that. I need to watch more Dragon Ball. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so those puns are not lost.
Yeah.
His name is Kakarot. And Vegeta. And Nappa, which is cabbage and
cabbage, right.
His name is Vegetable, Carrot, and Cabbage. And Raditz, which is Radish.
Right.
It's all over. It's hilarious. It's really funny how he does that. I lost my train of thought. We were talking about Advent Children. But
right. I was lost the plot a little bit.
I was afraid it would spoil a very specific aspect of the original game that I know is coming up in the final game of the remake trilogy. But it didn't spoil as much as I thought. It only gave away the spoilers that I already knew. But Cloud drives a dope motorcycle in this game that houses 8 extra Buster Swords. And the fight scenes he has on the bike are so cool. And I was just watching somebody replay through the remake, and at the end of the game, there's a cinematic where he's doing stuff on a motorcycle too. That's also really cool. Yeah, this movie has some of the best credits I've ever seen, with the entirety of them having really cool animations all throughout. It was really fun. But moving on to comics. Haven't read this as much this week. I don't usually talk about the manga I read because I don't know. I don't want to spoil it. Whereas I feel like not as many people read American comics. So
that makes sense.
I do get spoilers if I spoil major stuff in comics, but I have been reading Kaiju number 8. Well, I didn't read the last issue actually. I was going to read it last night, but the next issue isn't coming out for like 26 days, so I have time. I read the last issue of Chainsaw Man, which was wild. You need to catch up.
I've been seeing the memes about it on Twitter and like the speculation in air quotes, and it kills me.
And the
dead.
The last page was so good. I'm trying to think if there's even a way I can say it without spoiler. It's not really a spoiler where a character.
No, I've seen it.
Okay, yeah,
I've seen it. Yeah.
Like, I forget what's the girl's name that was like the main character at the beginning of this arc. Asa. Like, Denji is in a prison basically, and she's going to break him out. One of the prison guards was like, "Yeah, it would take a war to for someone to enter this facility, and it's just her out there with the war doll." And I was like, "Oh, that's dope!" And they just showed her feet standing outside the prison. I was like, "Okay, I'm excited for the next chapter."
Yeah, it's like the memes about it have really been killing me because I don't know if you remember the Kakurabachi era of Twitter where they kept editing.
Yeah, I also have been reading that.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah,
it reminded me of that. It was really silly. I saw somebody give Pochita Asa socks, and I was like, y'all are silly.
I also read One Punch Man and My Hero, and I just realized, well, I think it was literally just posted today, a new chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. And I make sure of all the manga I read, I keep up with Jujutsu Kaisen because the internet will not hesitate to spoil Jujutsu Kaisen. I make sure I keep up on these chapters because, let me tell you something. Spoiler alert for the Jujutsu Kaisen manga, which I'm sure you've already been spoiled on because people suck. I know you know this, but I'm just talking about people who watch it. But like, that character who dies, you know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
I'm so glad I read that and I kept up with the manga because only God knows I would have been upset if I opened Twitter and saw the many images of that moment that popped up. Like, I was literally, every time I'm in the comments of something anime related, I have people talking about that moment. And I'm like, yo, shut up. Everybody knows that happens now. And it's probably not going to happen in the show for another 2 seasons. Like, come on, chill out. Let me make sure I read that chapter after this. We were finished recording.
No, for real. Like, Jujutsu Kaisen fans will post spoilers when the Raws come out. Or like when the chapters come out in Japan. It's insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Luckily, people don't do that with My Hero anymore because My Hero isn't as popular as it once was. I'm sure the popularity will surge back up once the anime comes back, but people aren't really talking about the manga as much as they used to.
Yeah.
But other comics. I finally finished Vixen, Return of the Lion. Her one and only solo run, and I wish there was more. I hope that in the new DC live action universe that she gets her due. Finished Aquaman as well. And Black Manta is kind of a good guy now, which it's weird to me because he's in my top 5 haters in comics. Like, this man is a top tier hater when it comes to Aquaman. But now he's actually helping Aquaman because he's mostly doing it for his son, who's Jackson Hyde, who is the former second Aqualad, who's now become Aquaman himself. So that's the only reason he's working with him, because I was like, he's a hater. I'm surprised.
I was going to say, didn't in the most recent movie he come out of retirement just to stop Aquaman again? Well, or am I misremembering?
That's something happened in comics I told you about, where it's like one of the most hater moments ever, where Aquaman was dead, so he retired. But as soon as he found out that Aquaman was alive, he was in he retired to some island. He was selling fish. He was living a good life. And then he was watching the news in his shop as he was working, and people were in there buying stuff. And he saw in the news that Aquaman was alive. Immediately, no hesitation, killed everybody in the shop. And then walked into the ocean, and then walked back out of the ocean, fully suited up, ready to go kill Aquaman. Insane.
That is peak hater.
Someone who I recently learned is like, who recently entered like my top 10 haters in comics, who I didn't realize was as much of a hater as he is, and now it makes me want to read more of it, is Sabretooth from the X-Men. Oh my god, does that man hate Wolverine? Like, dude, I'm watching the show, and in like the last episode I watched, him and Wolverine were beefing. Like, they truly have beef.
Yeah, their beef learned that is like
in the comics. Sabretooth has a tradition where every year on Wolverine's birthday, he fucks with him somehow, some way. Whether it's killing somebody he loves or just going and ruining his day. Wolverine cannot enjoy his birthday. That sucks.
Yeah, it's insane.
Supreme hater. But
for real.
Action comics. Bizarro Superman finds himself in Gem World after his Earth was destroyed. And he ends up being imbued with magical powers and is now trying to recreate his Earth in the main DC universe. Ultimate Spider-Man #2. So, there was a package mishap with my final 3 packages from eBay. But they finally got here. And one of them was Ultimate Spider-Man #2. I was told that I could call the day of and reserve a comic book at Atomic Comics. They lied. Because I called them and I couldn't. Oh, no. But what I realized is that on their website, I could pre-order the next issue 3, for pickup. So I can go there and pick it up when it comes out. So I'm going to start doing that now. So I could actually support my local comic book shops and get this comic book physically. Yay! Full price with no shipping cost. Because I don't want to do that when I could just go pick it up. Because it's not that far from where we work. But yeah, just a recap of the first issue for, if you don't remember, anybody else doesn't know what's happening with the new Ultimate Universe. In this new Ultimate Universe, the Maker, aka Reed Richards, who is Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Fantastic of this universe is he's a villain, and he made it to where all of Earth's superheroes never came to be. So Peter is now in his 30s, married to Mary Jane with 2 kids, and a live Uncle Ben.
Wow.
However, Aunt May was the one that passed away in this universe after the Maker framed Tony Stark for a terrorist attack to prevent Tony from recreating the world's superheroes. But Tony still manages to get a message to Peter telling him how his life was supposed to go and giving him the choice of becoming Spider-Man, which, of course, he chooses. And now in issue 2, he's patrolling as Spider-Man for the first time and facing off against the Shocker. So yeah, it's real fun so far. Sad for issue like I said, Ultimate Spider-Man from the early 2000s was the first Spider-Man comic I read. I love it so much. I actually started reading it a while back. I need to finish that up. But yeah, real fun. You got anything for comics? Been reading anything?
Dungeon Meshi, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I don't want to talk about where I'm at right now because it's kind of spoilers, but I'm really enjoying it. Chilchuck is my favorite still. That's my little guy. Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, show's real fun too.
It is. It is.
Moving on to TV and film. The emblem was revealed for Superman Legacy by Superman actor David Cornsweet. The emblem on the suit itself. I was hoping for more of a vinyl print look for the emblem, but the woven look works as well for me because it makes it look like it's homemade, like his mom made it or something. Which I hope is the case in this, like it usually is. The movie is now just simply called Superman, according to James Gunn on Twitter, dropping the legacy from the title. And I'm very, very excited for this movie because I love Superman. I've been reading so many Superman comics lately, and I just can't wait for this movie to show people, because I have absolute faith in James Gunn. He has not let me down once when it comes to superhero movies. So I have complete and total faith that he will make a very faithful Superman movie that shows everyone that no, Superman is not boring, and he is one of the most important superheroes ever created. So Shang-Chi director Destin Daniel Cretton is set to direct a live-action Naruto movie.
Oh wow!
And honestly, I'm kind of here for it. So hear me
out,
right? After watching Shang-Chi, a lot of people thought he'd be perfect for a live-action Dragon Ball Z movie because the final fight in that movie felt hella Dragon Ball Z. And he expressed interest in it, which I assume resulted in him making an Naruto movie instead. Because there's a lot of what is it called? Wushu experience. What's the word I'm looking for? Influence in Shang-Chi, especially the very beginning. And I feel like that will work very well for a Dragon Ball Z movie. And like just the way Destin does action in these films, and hopefully he would be able to take the same action teams and stunt team to his other films, because I feel like they're instrumental in making that type of kind of like over the top action work really well. And I truly do believe that some anime can work in live action, and there's some that I really want to see done in live action. Honestly, there's only two. It's Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. Really, those are only two anime that I'm like, I want to see that in live action. Good. We've seen Dragon Ball Z, but it wasn't good. And hopefully this Naruto movie is good. I think that live action adaptations need to lean into the strengths of the medium instead of trying to recreate the moments that only work in animation. All that ever does is show why the animated version is superior. Instead, they should try to do these things in a way that, like I said, pulls on the strengths of the medium itself. Also, both Dragon Ball and Naruto are flawed in certain areas of the writing, so significant changes can be made to the story to make it a fresh experience without completely alienating the fan base, because even the fan base of both series recognize that there are flaws that can be fixed. Naruto is one of my favorite anime, but I do not wear rose-tinted glasses for it. Any of my favorites. I can reread Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball Z all day, but rewatching them hurts. Rewatching early 2000s and older anime is a chore. Specifically ones that are adapted from a manga, because the pacing is ass and there's so much filler. And I'll always cherish the experience of watching it for the first time, because I can never rewatch it and enjoy it as much as I did back then, because I know what good pacing is now.
Right.
On top of that, like I said, the writing isn't great in some areas. For Naruto, most famously, the female characters, Sakura especially, are extremely underdeveloped.
Yeah.
And Kishimoto gave up on a lot of the fan favorite side characters like Rock Lee and Neji and all of them after the time skip into Shippuden. So those are two aspects that, even if those are the only changes that Dustin makes, that would be enough for him to give Sakura a lot more to do and actually give her so much more character development and have her actually grow in strength on par with Naruto and Sasuke, instead of always lagging behind, which I always thought was weird. Because for me, the number one thing is Naruto, there's some what's the parallels between certain characters in Naruto, between Jiraiya, Tsunade, Orochimaru, Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura, and
Right.
they all learn from those people as well, and they learn techniques from those people, and expand on them and make them better. Something that both Naruto and Sasuke get is that they learn from one of the great Sanin, and they learn from a specific technique from Kakashi. Sakura never has that moment to learn something from Kakashi like Naruto and Sasuke does. I feel like that's something that should be added, where she learns something from Kakashi. Something I think she would be cool that she could learn from Kakashi is specifically Earth style moves, because I feel like that just makes sense for her character, because she's a healer first and foremost, and there's a whole arc at the beginning of Shippuden where she's like making medicine using plants and stuff. So, and plus she's really strong, and it makes sense that for her to be I forget what they call it, but for her jutsu to lean towards Earth would make a lot of sense, and that is a place where Kakashi excels. He uses a lot of Earth techniques or jutsu. Right. So that would be a cool way to have give her moment of learning something from Kakashi. But also something that Naruto and Sasuke do is that they take the techniques that they learned from their masters and make them better. Sakura never does that. She never takes anything that she learned from Tsunade or anybody else and makes it better. She tends to just use everything she's learned the exact same way it was used before. And I felt like that is one of the ways that her character was stifled, whereas she didn't get to be as creative with her abilities as Naruto and Sasuke were. In my opinion, something that's kind of prevalent in the show is the idea of the very first Hokage has a Kekkei Genkai, which is a jutsu that only that person or that person's bloodline can do. Like the Sharingan is a Kekkei Genkai for the Uchiha. I say Uchiha. The first Hokage's Kekkei Genkai is his alone. He's the only person that could do it. Other people later on are able to do it because they literally take flesh from his body and graft it onto their own to allow them to use the jutsu. But it didn't pass down onto his family. Like not even his granddaughter Tsunade can do it. I think it would be cool if Sakura takes actually learns how to do a form of it. Not it exactly, because she wouldn't be able to without like grafting the cells onto her. But Yamato is one of the characters that can do it. He is introduced in Shippuden, and he essentially takes up the role as team leader while Kakashi is doing something else with and he can do the wood style jutsu. It would be cool if she didn't do wood style, but she was like poison ivy. She could like control plants. The way that wood style is explained how it works is that it's a combination of earth style and water style combined to make plant life. It'd be cool if Sakura did that, but instead of making wood, because like I said, only some people can do that using the DNA of the first Hokage, that she could do it using like vines and making like plants for making medicine and stuff like that. Like you could do a lot of really cool stuff with her character. And you can tell I think about this a lot because I used to definitely, when I was a dumb little boy, used to hate on Sakura. But now I'm of the mind of like, Sakura can be so cool. Why did he not make her cool? But yeah, also things got way too overly complicated at the very end of the series. That was just weird because it was like at a perfect spot, and they introduced one more extra thing that kind of just pushed it over the edge and made it a little bit too much. Just delete that, Dustin, whenever you get there in like 20 years. But I also think, why is he making a movie? Make it a show. Do what One Piece is doing. This would work so much better as a show. I still hope it's good. Like I want this to be good because the thing is, I think that live action anime can work. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to try and adapt cartoons to live action. I think it depends on the cartoon 100%. But the problem is they keep trying. I think that Dustin, it seems like he has respect for anime, where a lot of people who try to adapt stuff don't have respect for the source material, and they end up thinking they could do it better. And the reality is, as much as some people might hate to hear this, I think you do have to actively try to do different things with it for it to actually be fun and unique, rather than just trying to be a carbon copy of the thing in live action. That's never going to work because it's just never going to be as good. So you have to do something different, not too different. You still want to have, the characters for the most part be the same. You want them to have the same personalities. You want to follow the same story overall, but you want to make like changes, like expand on things or delete things that don't need to be there anymore and stuff like that, or like give certain characters more attention. Like you want to make changes like that add a lot to the story, but don't completely change the story, you know?
Right.
And I feel like live action anime has the opportunity to do that. But honestly, more than that, I kind of just want them to. I want both Bleach and Naruto to get the Dragon Ball Z Kai treatment, where Dragon Ball Z Kai was the version of Dragon Ball Z that I grew up watching, where they cut out all the filler. But something they did do, which I hope they do with the One Piece remake, is actually kind of make some changes to the story to fix certain things. Not anything major, but just some small changes to hint towards certain things that come on later that maybe weren't built up properly and stuff like that. And ultimately, I'm more than anything, I want a Naruto remake, animated remake that does just that, cuts out all the filler, and adds more context to certain things that come up later in the series. Same thing with Bleach. So I'm honestly cautiously optimistic for this. My biggest concern is what they might cut to make this work as a feature-length film, and that's why I think it would be better off as a show.
Right.
But going from hopefulness of a live-action thing to sheer disappointment, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm be real, I only watched the first episode. Because I'm finding it real difficult to find a motivation to watch the rest of this show. I will, but it's tough. The first episode was okay. It wasn't like aggressively bad, but it is trying way too hard to be like the original. And that's making it just look bad by comparison. Like I mentioned before, the biggest problem with live action adaptations of cartoons is their hubris. They often think that they're elevating the source material and end up missing the point. Like we've mentioned before. So have you seen the first episode?
I have.
Yeah, so I feel like a change to me that was immediately weird was that Aang doesn't like run away and live a life before he gets frozen. He runs away that same night that the air nomads are destroyed. Therefore, he didn't meet people like Boomy and stuff like that. I guess you could I'm sure, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure they're going to say that he met some of these characters like before he ran away, like he maybe traveled before that. But I don't know. It just felt like that was an odd choice. And, we already know that they're trying to remove very key aspects to the main trio of characters where Aang is no longer going to be a carefree kid who's trying to run away from a responsibility, which is a big part of his character. And you already see that in the first episode where he's a lot more serious than he should be. And then you have Sokka, who's not going to be as sexist and misogynistic, which is meant to be a character arc where he learns that femininity and strength isn't mutually exclusive. And they're saying Katara isn't going to be as motherly, which is meant to represent how traumatized she is from never having a mother and having to step up and be the mother for both herself and Sokka. Right. It's like, come on now. What they do when they copy scenes in this first episode from the source material beat for beat, it just proves why the cartoon is better. They should have leaned into the limitations of live action, like I was mentioning with the Naruto thing, and they really focused on and they should have really focused on blending martial arts with bending rather than relying on CG so much. Bending in this show so far, and from what I've heard, is treated more like magic instead of martial arts like it is in a show. I have it on Blu-ray, but I haven't watched behind the scenes on the Blu-ray, but I know it's the exact same behind the scenes that are on some of the DVDs I used to rent out from the library of Avatar, where they talk about the different martial arts. There's a specific guide that they help them form the martial arts that make up the bending styles. And I think it's Sifu Kisu is his name. And they talk about the different martial arts that are used to inspire these bending styles. Like they use Shaolin Kung Fu for Fire Nation. They use Pagua for Air Nation. They use Hungar for the Earth Nation, and Water Nation they use Tai Chi. And you don't see that martial arts influence as much in this, and it sucks because it's live action. This is the place where you can do that so much better than you. Truly, this is one of the places where you can do something better than in animation, as weird as that is, and that's fighting hand to hand. Because unlike in animation where you have to try and mimic hand-to-hand fighting and the real weight and feel of a fight, in live action you can just do it because it's in real life and there's restrictions like gravity. So you have to actually work with those limitations to make something incredible. And they just haven't been doing that. And again, I haven't seen it all. I am speaking from only seeing the first episode and what other people have said. And of course, I'll make a more informed opinion once I've watched the rest of the show. But they should have took inspiration, like I said, with Dragon Ball Z, from the Wushu films, which are the 70s martial arts films, and did the high-flying, fantastical martial arts enhanced by bending rather than it being so magic bending focused, which is really weird. And the acting so far is very stilted. And they feel like they're constantly delivering exposition. Like they're never just having like honest conversations. Like it never feels real. It feels like they're just throwing information at us. Granted, it's the first episode. That could just be a first episode thing. I do admit that. I will admit that. That could just be a first episode thing because they have to set.
Even then, though, there's a way to do it that's like more graceful than how they are.
Yeah, and I'll finish watching it, but my expectations have always been on the floor. So I can only be pleasantly surprised. And I'm sure there will be a few things that I like in the show. But you have anything else to say about it before we move on?
Nope, it's just disappointing, as I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, so moving on to Halo. Episode 4 was great. It focused on the fall of Reach and the horrors of war against the Covenant. But episode 5 fell back on into the stuff that I disliked about the season 1, which was focusing way too much on the side characters that I do not care about.
Right.
A lot of the episode was focused on Master Chief's grief at the loss of so many people, and that was great. But the side stories suck. They gave a little bit of screen time to Makee, who is the woman that Master Chief randomly had sex with in the first season, which was. It felt so out of place, but it did feel like it was properly set up at all their relationship. But it does feel like it at least will have a payoff now, where she did stop the Arbiter from killing Chief, and so it seems like she still has feelings for him. And there might be, as weird as it sounds, a love triangle between her, Chief, and Cortana.
Interesting.
The relationship between Cortana and Chief has always been so funny in the games because it's so subtly they're in a relationship, but they never go that far. It's very funny. That aside, there's some major aspects of the story that just haven't been introduced yet that I'm really excited to see. I'm wondering if they're not going to make it to the titular Halo to the very end of the season, and that'll be the focus of the third season, or if they will get there pretty soon. There's also the potential of some major actors that played certain characters in the games reprising their roles for live action. Like Nathan Fillion played the character in Halo 5, and it'd be cool if he came back and played that character in live action. But yeah, that's all I got from Halo. Moving on to video games. Peacemaker has made his way into Mortal Kombat 1. I have not played it yet, but a lot of people are discovering for the first time that John Cena is a good voice actor. Mostly in comparison to Megan Fox, who sucks in this game as in terms of acting. I knew he was a good voice actor because he plays Baron Draxum in the first season of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he also plays Rocksteady in Teenage Mutant Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. So I've always known he was a great voice actor. And I haven't played him yet, but he looks a lot of fun. And honestly, it just makes me want them to make Injustice 3 already. Hopefully, that's NetherRealm's next game. Actually, the first episode of a show we have on this channel that we haven't made another one of in a long time, called Choose Your Character, was us building a roster for Injustice 3. So you guys can check that out. There's a clip of it where I think we were arguing over whether Static or Black Lightning should be in the game. But No Rest for the Wicked. There was a live stream showing off Ori and the Blind Forest and Will-O-Wisp devs, Moon Studios, new game, No Rest for the Wicked. And it looks great. The first trailer came out during the Game Awards last year, and it immediately caught my eye because of the art style. And in the stream, they said that the 3D models were hand painted, which is exactly how Arcane did their character models and environments. So it looks really good. It's an isometric action RPG that takes a lot of inspiration from the Souls games, and there are some gameplay previews up on YouTube if you want to check out some gameplay. Which I haven't watched. I don't think I've watched any of them, but I watched the live stream, so I saw some of the combat. And the game goes on into Steam Early Access on April 18th. And one of the updates coming down the line will be co-op and PvP. So maybe I'll play it with a friend when it comes out on console. There was a trailer for Eldent Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. And I might need to hop back into this game and finish it. Because I know where I stopped. I was fighting some tree sentinel guarding a gate into a place that I need to go, and I was just like, I'm gonna stop. The game's fun. I'm gonna have to get back in there and like relearn how to play, because I'm gonna hop back into a difficult game having forgotten how to play in Saturday. But yeah, I might play it with my brother because I haven't played it co-op, but I have PlayStation Plus now, so I might play it with some friends or something. There was a Nintendo partner showcase a while back, and some things that we talked about came true. Grounded, one of the leaked Xbox games going third party, is on the Nintendo Switch. Grounded is a co-op survival game where you play as a person shrunk down to the size of an ant, trying to survive in someone's backyard. So it's one of Survivor. You build your bases, you go out, you scavenge, stuff like that, and the whole point is trying to find out like how you got shrunk and how to not be shrunk anymore. It's how do you got shrunk the kids to the game.
Right.
But something I sent to you that I thought you would like is this game called Ender Magnolia: Bloom in the Mist.
I've been wanting to play Ender Magnolia for a long time.
So, yeah, go ahead.
The first game is a little shaky. I think Into the Mist is a sequel.
Yeah, Ender Lilies was the first game.
Yes. And I've wanted to play Ender Lilies for a long time. I just have never had the time to do it. So to find out that there's a sequel makes me happy because now it'll give me the push to actually do it.
Yeah, so it's described as experience an exploratory 2D action RPG and deepen bonds with companions in a hopeful journey through a world of grief and sorrow. And Ender Magnolia, coming to Switch later this year.
Yes, the art style reminds me of Aiara a lot. It does.
That's why I knew. I was like, this is right up their alley. But yeah, there was also a trailer for an Epic Mickey remake. So I actually used to play Epic Mickey 2 with my younger brother on 360 years ago. But I don't remember much about it, honestly. All I know is that Oswald, which was like Walt Disney's first character, was in it as like one of the co-op characters to play alongside Mickey. And yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if they'll remake that one as well. Probably if this one does well, they will.
Yeah, which it will.
Yeah. Another Crab's Treasure is a Souls-like adventure set in a crumbling underwater world plagued by a mysterious curse. As Krill, the hermit crab, you'll need to wear the trash around you as shells to withstand attacks from enemies many times your size. Embark on an epic treasure hunt to buy back your repurposed shell and discover the dark secrets behind the polluted ocean. It's a very interesting take on a Souls-like genre. I hope that we see more wacky takes on genres that are usually relegated to very specific aesthetics, like Souls-likes are usually, like medieval, or Bloodborne is what's that? Gothic. So
right. I've been following the development of this game really closely because it's by one of my favorite developer studios, Aggro Crab, who also did
that name checks out.
Huh?
That name checks
yes.
out.
No, for real. They did, what is that game called? Going Under, which is it's a roguelike where you're playing an intern at a startup that's going under, and there's like dungeons in there. It's really silly. So they're definitely very good at that genre of like taking games that have certain themes and like really twisting them. So I'm really excited for this game to release.
Yeah, it looks cool. Penny's Big Breakaway is out.
Yes.
I got the alert on because this is my wish list. So I got the alert on the PlayStation app like right before I watched the showcase. I probably won't pay it for a while though. Got a lot of games to play. So it'll probably be on discount by the time I play it. But yeah, it's a 3D platformer developed by Evening Star, the studio behind Sonic Mania. It looks real fun. I'm excited to play it one of these days. The final game that I'm going to talk about from that showcase is Pentiment, which is another one of those Xbox games that are coming in.
Yes, Pentiment.
It was shown in a random montage, but I did go back and actually watch, not a trailer, but there's I forget the name of the channel, Nintendo Life. posted a review of it. And yeah, I don't know what I thought it was, but it's an interesting looking game. A narrative adventure game set in a living, illustrated 16th century world. Choices you make impact a community, and a tale of murder, scandal, and intrigue. Find your own way through this turbulent time and see the consequences of your choices play out over generations. Art inspired by great illuminated manuscripts and the earliest printed books become a living, breathing world in Pentiment.
Yes.
Yeah. These are two games grounded in Pentiment that makes a lot of sense to put on Switch. To make more money. Like, I think Xbox's plan makes sense. Put certain games on other consoles so that you can make more money, but also keep the main big games and a good amount of them on your console so that you can still sell your console. That's just a good way to make more money. Two other games that are coming to other consoles, specifically PlayStation, Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves.
Yes.
So I might get back into Hi-Fi Rush on Xbox. But I might get back into it because it's super short to begin with. But also, I don't really feel like I gave it a fair chance back when I first played it. It might still just not be for me, and that's okay. But I'm going to give it another try because it does look cool. Right. I like the art style. Like I said, it's a rhythm game, so you might like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, it combines two things you like: rhythm and like hack and slash.
Yes.
But yeah, there was a video released on the PlayStation YouTube channel where the devs of Sea of Thieves, which is coming to PlayStation as well, talked about like the importance of putting games into as many players' hands as possible and making sure that players across all platforms can play with each other using crossplay. And it's crazy to think that crossplay is only a recent thing, and that if your friend didn't have the same console as you like 10 years ago, you were just shit out of luck. Like you just couldn't play with your friend if you had a PlayStation and all your friends had Xbox, or vice versa. Like, crossplay is a form of accessibility that all multiplayer games should have going forward. There's no reason not to. No excuses.
Right.
But before we get to the good stuff, I want to talk about the state of the games industry. There have been tons of layoffs in the games industry recently. 1,900 people were laid off from Microsoft and their recently acquired studio, Activision Blizzard. The Life is Strange studio, Deck 9, laid off 20% of its workforce. But unlike a lot of other studios, the higher-ups actually did take a pay cut to prevent more people from being laid off. So shout out to them for that, because that doesn't usually happen.
Right.
EA is laying off about 5% of its workforce. And the most recent one, PlayStation is laying off around 900 people. And that includes major studios like Insomniac Games, Guerrilla, and Naughty Dog. Guerrilla being the studio that made Killzone and, of course, most famously, the Horizon series. So yeah, rather than taking what would be insignificant pay cuts, CEOs and executives will much rather lay off hundreds, thousands, in the case of Microsoft.
Terrible.
And in case you are mistaken, guys, they are making good money. Profits are up. Video games are going better than they ever have. They aren't firing people because there's a recession or anything like that. Things are doing good economically for video games. They're just doing this to help their bottom line, to make it look like they're making more money than they are, to keep their what do they call it? Shareholders happy. It's messed up. There's no excuse, and I don't really have much more to say than that. I just felt like it should be talked about. If any semblance of change is ever going to happen, people need to note that it's going on.
All right.
But to wrap things up, we're going to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now you can't see the smile that went across my face when I said that name. This game is so good. So I told you this, but I played the Dijon demo 3 times. I put 7 hours into this game before the game came out. And I did everything I possibly could. I was almost afraid that I ruined that specific part of the game for myself. But it was honestly such a small slice of the entire game. And that area is way different in full game. It turns out they were gating off literally half of Junon. And they moved all of the activities around. So it was almost like a completely different area. This game is so fun. I really got a handle on the combat from playing the demo. But I was still struggling on how to use Tifa. But now I figured it out, and she's real fun to use. Now, no matter which set of characters I'm using in my party, I'm always having fun, no matter who they are.
20
hours in, and most of the time has been doing every side quest available in certain areas before doing a story mission and moving on to the next. Essentially, you go to these big open areas, you explore, do a story mission, moving on to the next area. It's basically like a road trip. And you know, the focus is more on exploring the new areas you visit, and then doing the kind of like the main mission afterwards. But the story is still good. I'm braced for the confusing aspects I've been hearing people talk about, but I honestly feel like they'll have to do some out of pocket stuff to confuse me. But the man who wrote Kingdom Hearts, Tetsuya Nomura, helped create this franchise and is a writer on these games. So if anyone can confuse a comic book and Metal Gear fan like myself, it'll be him. Yeah, because Kingdom Hearts is crazy. The side quests in this game are pretty good so far, and none of them feel like they're just there to fill out the open world and give you things to do. They're actually fun. The mini games. There's a card game called Queen's Blood that I am obsessed with, and there's a quest line with it that is straight out of Yu-Gi-Oh! With someone being trapped in this game's equivalent of the Shadow Realm. This Queen's Blood is so fun. Every time I go into a new town, I'm like, all right, who wants to play me Queen's Blood? Who wants to lose? I need someone to play me. I'm only 20 hours in, and it's wild to say I'm only 20 hours in. Sometimes that's an entire game. But it's an RPG.
Right.
And there was a Fort Condor segment, but I don't think there will be more Fort Condor than that, and I'm upset because I want more Fort Condor. But Queen's Blood is really fun. So I have only a few negatives. There are a few outdated open world game design features like towers that have to be climbed to unlock objectives on that map. And for me, what makes it feel outdated isn't the tower itself, but because I honestly don't mind that trope. It's that climbing in this game sucks. It's so unnecessarily slow if you're not climbing up a ladder. But luckily, you don't do it too much, but you do it just enough to where it's like, why is this so slow? So many games have climbing. How have you not figured out how to do climbing, Square Enix? What's happening? But yeah, it's weird. Also, some of the side quests involve doing weird rhythm puzzles that aren't fun at all. And they are just tedious. It's very strange sometimes. But other than that, I love it. Having a good time. There's a piano rhythm game in it that's really fun. And I did it. I realized I'm kind of good at it. Well, I'm not playing on like the hard stuff. Actually, it gets harder the better you do. Like mid doing it, it will up the difficulty once it notices you're doing well. Because I did it the first time, messed up a lot, and I was like, okay, dang, that's crazy. Did it again, perfection. I was hitting every note perfectly. I didn't miss one until the difficulty spiked, and I was like, hold on, what's happening? This is not what was happening last time.
Right.
My goal was to memorize it and then do it perfectly, but no, you had to switch it up, but I still did good. I got A+. So
that's very Squeenix. I'll say that.
Yeah, the combat in this game is so fun. It's so good, and the changes and improvements that they've made have made it just so much more enjoyable than it was for me in Remake. You can put whatever ability you want on button shortcuts, where you hold the left bumper and press a face button. That was in the first Remake as well, but I feel like I've been using it so much more this time around. It makes the game feel like it's more real time than it actually is. I honestly think that a Persona game or a game made by Atlas with a combat system like this would be really fun. I could confidently say that I like this game's combat more than 16's, but I think they both have their strengths and weaknesses. The perfect Final Fantasy combat system, or like RPG combat system for me, will combine both of their combat systems. First and foremost, there would need to be a party system where you can swap between individual characters during combat and actually play as them like you can in Final Fantasy VII, because that is one of the things that 16 lacked. And as a result, the combat got extremely repetitive and tedious, especially in the third act. Also, I think part of that is due to the fact that there are no mini games in Final Fantasy 16 because it's a much more serious game. And I think not breaking up the action like that made the action get real boring real fast. But yeah, I would have there be a party system of a decent amount of characters that you can switch out. so that if you get bored with some characters, you switch to different characters, like in Rebirth. I'll replace the ATB bars in Final Fantasy VII with just cooldowns. Instead of having to wait for a bar to go up to use certain abilities, I would just have the more powerful abilities be put on cooldowns.
Right.
But I would still keep the slow down time ability specifically so that you can issue commands to your party members without having to switch to them to do a move. But for the most part, I would still want it to be like real time action, and the only time you slow down is to issue commands to your party members. And the basic elemental attacks, which cost an ATB bar in Final Fantasy VII, would be like they are in 16, where in 16 they're just a basic projectile. You just press triangle, and Clive shoots fireballs or ice or whatever. I would have it be like that, but the more powerful versions are on a cooldown, like all of the other attacks.
Right.
And lastly, synergy attacks, which are these team up attacks in Rebirth. I would have those be in the game as well. So just add another layer to the combat. But that would be my perfect like RPG combat system. But yeah, that's all I got. This game's real fun. It's so good. I'm gonna play it immediately after this call. Actually, I'm gonna read reviews, guys. Then I'm gonna hop right back into that game. But yeah, this game's great. I feel like you'd like it.
I definitely do think I would.
You gotta check out these remake games eventually. You probably.
I do.
Oh yeah, I forget that Rebirth is PlayStation exclusive for now. But it'll be on PC eventually.
Yes, and then I will play it.
But yeah, that's all I got. If you don't have anything,
nope, that's all I got.
My acts are below me. You can find Aiara's at below them. The Muzzcast at below that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more stories and content, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.
See ya.